DaVinci Resolve has a number of built-in titles and generators you can work with in your timeline, and they can be edited like any other clip. Before we begin, set the layout to the trimming layout you saved in Lesson 9. To load the timelines we'll be working on, click on the Timelines Quick Access menu at the top of the viewer and choose Lesson 11. Before we add some titles, there's some changes I'd like to make to the edit. After all, editing is about changes, right? So I want to replace this first shot of the alien hunter guy with an opening title. But I want to keep his dialogue and move it later in time. In previous lessons, I taught you about linking and unlinking clips, and I want to make one more point about this, that unless you're aware of it, it can cause some frustration. So this first clip is linked, as you can tell by selecting it, and also by the link badge on the clip itself. One method I showed you for unlinking was option clicking on the audio clip. If you move the audio clip, you'll get out-of-sync warnings, because Resolve still treats these clips as linked. Additionally, if you delete the video, the audio will be deleted with it. I'll undo that. By using the Option key or Alt key on the PC to unlink your clips, you're only performing what I refer to as a soft unlink. In a situation like this, it would be better to perform a hard unlink. Select the clip, then go to the Clip menu and choose Link Clips. The link badge is removed from the clip, and now when you move it, you won't get out-of-sync flags. But more importantly, if you delete the video, the audio is not deleted. This is because Resolve now treats the video and audio as independent clips. I like to use this analogy. Using the Option or Alt key to unlink gives the clip a trial separation, but Resolve still thinks they're married. So when you use the Link Clips command, you're giving the clips a divorce. So with the audio now divorced from its video, align the left edge of the clip with the start of the transition we added in the previous lesson. We're now ready to add our titles. To locate the titles and generators, click the Effects Library button to open the panel. This is the same panel you accessed for transitions in the previous lesson. Select the Titles category. There are two types of titles you can apply to your projects. Titles that appear below the Titles group are title generators, and titles that appear below the Fusion Titles group are title templates that were created in Fusion. You'll be using both types in this lesson. You can preview any title by hover scrubbing over the bar. Except for the scroll title, titles in this group are static until you animate them. Fusion titles, however, are pre-animated and come in both 2D and 3D text styles. Mark a range over the gap left by the deleted video clip. As a quick review, disable Auto Select for Audio Track 2, then press X on your keyboard. Drag the text generator into the viewer and choose Overwrite. Park the playhead over the title to see it in the viewer. Click on the text and a bounding box appears around the title. Using the corner control points, you can resize the text. Use the control point at the top to rotate it, and click inside the box to move it. Double-click inside the box to select the text and type out "The Alien Hunter." With the text still selected, open the inspector. At the top of the panel are two subpanels, Title and Settings. The Title panel contains all of the editing, styling, and sizing controls used to edit the look of your title. The Settings panel gives you access to the transform, crop, and compositing tools for your text. In the Titles panel, choose a different font. I'm going to use American Typewriter, but feel free to use whatever font you wish. Resolve's title generators are rich text generators, meaning that if you select any portion of the text, you can style it differently. For example, by selecting the second word, you can change the font and its attributes. I'll undo that. The Fusion titles, however, do not give you rich text styling, as you'll see, but what they do give you is more styling and animation controls. But more on those shortly. Because there are more than a few parameters for this title, I find it easier to work in the Full Height Inspector. Click the button in the upper right. For this simple text generator, you can change the text color, the size, and the tracking. The other parameter controls at the bottom are much easier to see when the text is sitting on top of a video clip. I'll temporarily drag this clip over a B-roll clip Then change the drop shadow offset, reduce the blur, and reduce the opacity. You can also give your text a background to create more contrast. Drag the height and width to create a box. Change the opacity to taste, and add a box outline. Any parameter that appears with a diamond next to it means that parameter can be animated. You can temporarily disable any property by clicking the orange toggle switch next to the parameter name. To reset a parameter, click the Reset button. I'll drag this title back into the gap where it began. To create fades, drag the fade handles in the upper corners of the clip. I'm going for half-second fades. And while I'm here, I might as well fade up the first shot of the car. If you want a title that gives you a lot of control over the look and movement of your titles, look no further than the Text Plus title generator. You'll find it located at the bottom of the standard title generators. Unlike them, however, it's a fully featured 2D text generator from Fusion that you can edit and customize right in the edit page. Drag out the Text Plus generator and drop it over the text cosine clip. Trim the end so that it matches the clip below it, then park the playhead over it so you can see the composite in the viewer. The first thing to take note of is that Fusion titles do not have on-screen controls. Everything that you do to modify the text happens in the inspector. Currently, the text size is too big. To reset the size, click the white dot below the slider. In the text entry box, enter "Gone, but not forgotten." In the size input box, enter 0.05 and press Return. For Fusion titles, almost every text parameter can be animated. Let's animate a write-on effect. Move the play to the beginning of the clip, set a keyframe for write-on, then drag the end control handle to the left until the text is invisible. Move the play at about 3/4 into the clip and drag the same control handle to the right. A second keyframe is automatically created. Wait for the clip to cache, then play back. We now have a cool write-on effect. Well, actually, it's more like a type-on effect, but whatever. Let's check out some of the layout controls by clicking the Layout button at the top of the inspector. Here, you can change and animate the layout, rotation, and background. From the Type pop-up, choose Circle. The text is placed on a circular path. Use the Width control to make the text circle a bit tighter. Then use the X and Y center controls to move it over the text cosine. Spill open the rotation controls. To give the text some perspective, drag on the Y controls and adjust the position of the text as necessary. To change the text style, click the Shading button. In this panel, you can do things like change the text appearance, its color, and so much more. Even better, you can store all your text changes as elements. Currently, Element 1 is enabled, which you can think of as a visual snapshot of all the properties and other adjustments you've made to your text using the controls below. Select Element 2, then click Enabled. You've just added a completely separate set of shading options, and this one includes a text outline. The ability to add elements is very powerful because you can quickly stack different types of properties to control the look of your text. Disable Element 2 and play back. The idea behind this generator is that it was specifically designed for animating text, which is why it has 6 separate panels of control. If you don't have the time or inclination to create your own custom animated title, there are a number of pre-animated Fusion templates in the Fusion title section of the toolbox. I want to use a lower third to introduce my subject matter expert. Locate the lower third Draw on 2-line template and drag it above the first interview clip. Trim the clip to match the clip's duration below it and park the playhead over it. In the inspector, spill open the main text and enter S.R. Martin. Close the main text and spill open the secondary text and enter Alien Hunter. Play that back. It's also known for alien activity. We now have a nice animated lower third. Take a few moments to try a few more of them out. If you look in the inspector for this particular template, there are controls for altering the text, but not the animated graphic that separates the main and secondary text. Perhaps we want to change its thickness or color. Park the playhead over the title, then click the Fusion Page button. I'll be covering how to assemble a basic title in Fusion in Lesson 15. But for now, let's take a quick look at what a Fusion composite looks like. Double-click on this element. Inside this box is a branching tree of processing elements called nodes. Each node in the tree performs a specific task. For example, there's a specific node that controls the shape and color of the graphic. It happens to be this node labeled Paint. Select it. In the modifier panel of the inspector, drag on the size slider to change the thickness of the line. Then click the arrow next to Color to reveal the color palette. Drag the color picker to change the amount of color, and the Hue control to change the color. I'll stop right there, as I don't want to outrun my coverage, because if I go further, I'll need to start explaining stuff. I just wanted you to see how you would modify a Fusion template. If you jump back to the edit page, you'll see the change we made instantly reflected in the lower third. It's also known for alien activity. Before we move to the next lesson, let's delete the second title, as we won't be using it in our final project. In the next lesson, we'll begin editing the soundtrack.